morning, all my lovely sports fans. I hope you've been styling and profiling, wheeling and dealing, and swishing and dishing, because this is episode 5 of Boundin and Astoundin. And as you know, we always say active on the glass around here. Everyone say hello to Ellie. Hey, she seems to be very active, and I'm sure I'm going to have to get her to stop eating command strips again for the 3rd episode in a row. Or maybe she'll just chill and sit on my lap today. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let's get right into it. Oh my God, it was a great weekend of football. Holy hell, it was awesome. And there goes my notes. No, a lot of good games this weekend. A couple of upsets in college football. We'll get into that in just a second here. I'm just so happy that the NFL is back. Every quarterback outside of Lamar, Sam Darnold, and Josh Allen looked terrible, but and Derek Carr. But outside of that, it was good football. Football's back, man. So yeah, we'll get into box score watchers. My first one I have today is good old rookie Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I really like that pick as soon as they made it. He just seems like a perfect fit over there for Trevor. Their receiving core is giving me a lot of worry coming into the year, just to see how it was all going to shape out, and hopefully Doug Peterson would stop being a war criminal. It's looking like that's not going to happen. We will get into that in a little bit. Anyways, Brian Thomas Jr. comes out firing in his first game, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 47 yards, and a touchdown. He looked about as good as I expected him to. He's going to be such a perfect deep threat for them. That's exactly what they needed there, a guy to work alongside Christian Kirk and Evan Engram. He's just a talented dude. I really wanted the Ravens to draft him. I thought he would have looked really good in this offense. I'm happy we got Devontae Walker. I'm not mad about it. It's whatever. But no, he looked really good. I'm not shocked at all. I think he's going to be a perfect fit. Trevor had on the touchdown just this absolutely beautiful ball to him in the back corner of the end zone, not cross body, but thrown across the way to the corner of the end zone, and he just hawked it down. It was perfect. I'm really excited to see how the rest of the season goes. I think he maybe will end up looking like he will lead rookie receivers in receptions and yards potentially. That's going to be my hot take, is that since I think Trevor is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, I think he'll end up having a better season than Marv. That's literally just solely because I think Kyler was not even ignoring Marv, but like half the time it just felt like he didn't even see him, and he was wide open on so many plays. And they'll get that down eventually. I'm not saying that, oh my God, Marv's a bust, oh my God, and he's gonna be terrible since the Cardinals drafted him, and Kyler is never gonna see him since he's 5'4". That's not what I'm saying. Sorry for the stray there, Kyler. That was by complete accident. But what I am saying is just that it seems like it might take a little while for the chemistry to get there. And Kyler is just not as good of a quarterback as Trevor Lawrence, in my humble opinion. So I feel like Brian will end up having a better rookie season overall. Regardless, I still think Marv is super talented. It's not saying that he's bad in any way whatsoever. But if I had to predict, I think Brian might end up being the leader in receptions and yards. Touchdowns? Who knows? Those two stats, though, I could very much see it. So that's my first one. My next one, surprise, surprise, it's Ashton Jeanty again. And I'm not going to try to put him there every week. It might happen just because he's so good. But when you have 25 carries, 195 yards, 7.7 per carry, and 3 touchdowns after coming off a 6 touchdown week, I'm gonna talk about you because, oh my God, now I'm solidified. He is the best running back in the draft class. Ali Gordon had a very underwhelming week against an Arkansas defense who is good, don't get me wrong, but I expected him to play a lot better against, and only having 16 carries for 33 yards, I think it was. I was just very underwhelmed. I really thought he was going to have a much bigger game. But yeah, Ashton, he pretty much put the Boise State offense on his back at the end of the game there in the last quarter and a half. It looked like they weren't going to pull out the victory against Oregon, and they ended up losing regardless, but they looked like they were not even going to make it to overtime. And then Ashton was like, you know what? It's time for me to lock in. And he just kept snapping off runs, man. He's a big play waiting to happen. And he's not only that, in a different way than Devon Achane, who's just so tiny and speedy. He's just and he's gone. He's just so powerful. And like I said, he's shifty as hell, too. He can make guys miss all over the field. But he will run through a motherfucker's face if he wants to. And it's, oh my God. I just love watching him. He looked awesome. I really wish Boise State would have pulled it out and knocked off Oregon. They were so damn close. That offense is anemic without him, honestly. I just am so impressed by how good he is. And hopefully I don't put him down for box score watchers every week. But if he keeps playing like this, I'm just saying, you might be hearing me talk about him a lot. Right now, he's my Heisman frontrunner. I can't really... I mean, Quinn Ewers, you could maybe put up there too. Milroe's been having a good season so far. Those would be probably my top 3 at the moment, like literally just off the top of my head, not thinking at all after 2 weeks. That would be Ashton's my front runner for sure. We'll see how it goes, but I think he's got a good chance to win it. And he will for sure finish as the best running back in the draft class because I don't see anyone else catching him. My next one, I had Sam Darnold of the Minnesota Vikings. My guy had a 19 for 24 passing, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. In his EPA metrics, he was literally tied, or not tied, but like right neck and neck with Patrick Mahomes and Derek Carr this weekend, who were, like I said, basically the best 3 quarterbacks of all time this weekend. And they looked really good. And I'm not surprised when you're throwing to Justin Jefferson. It's going to help a lot. But, I mean, he looked good. He played his ass off. I'm hoping he can maintain this because I like this Vikings team. I do. I don't think they're going to win the division by any means, but I think they have some potential to do something. And normally, when the Vikings had a competent quarterback, like Kirk Cousins, and their offense was functioning properly, they were really good. And I had a lot of faith in them. I just don't know if Sam's going to be able to sustain this. I think he will have a good season. I don't think he's going to be bad by any means. I just don't think he's going to continually be a top 5 quarterback in the league week by week, which is not an insane thing to say. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But regardless, he had a great game. He read the field really well. He was on time with all his throws. He made the right plays. He made the right decisions for the most part. I didn't see the entire game. I missed his interception, but from what I saw on Twitter, it didn't seem like it was anything like too egregious. But no, from what I did see, he looked really good. And if he continues to play around, not exactly at this level, but somewhere in the main area of this level, then I think the Vikings will be a fun team to watch in the NFC North. And my last one, I believe I had Noel Williams of Cal, who ended up knocking off Auburn this weekend. Is Cal football back? Cal football might be back. 2 tackles, 2 interceptions. I mean, he sealed the game for them for sure. I don't have too much to say about it. I really just wanted to bring him up because Cal knocked off Auburn and have that transition into my college football talk. Because it was just a fun weekend of upsets. We got so close to having Boise State do it too, like I said. If we would have had Boise State knock off Oregon, Notre Dame get knocked off by NIU, and Cal knock off Auburn, I mean, that would have been, that would have been crazy. But regardless, it was still a crazy weekend of upsets no matter what, because Notre Dame lost. And like I was talking about, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before now, honestly, but, or the episode before, I mean. But like I said, I just never have full faith in Notre Dame because they're never really challenged by an actual, like, rival conference schedule. So when they lose to a Maction team like NIU, lo and behold, I'm not that surprised. I mean, they should win that game, obviously, but I'll just never have full faith in them. And this is exactly why. Marcus Freeman was coaching scared. He was coaching scared. And if he wants to actually be considered the top coach in college football and have his teams be considered top teams in the nation, he cannot be calling like that. It was just pathetic. It really was. Shout out to NIU. Go Huskies for real. I mean, that was awesome. I was really nervous that they were gonna hit that field goal and blow the upset, but oh my god. Um, just an all around phenomenal game from NIU. They came out and punched him in the mouth, and it was just awesome to see. And yeah, I mean, I just will never believe in Notre Dame for this exact reason. The next point I want to bring up. So I talked about the Nebraska Colorado game as one of my matchup previews, and boy was I wrong. Um, and I'm more mad at myself for believing that Colorado was anything other than they had shown me already. Because I knew they weren't that good. I thought they could just put up more of a fight against the Nebraska team, who I had faith in, but not enough faith to beat the crap out of Colorado like they did. And it wasn't like a major blowout or anything, but I mean, Nebraska just dominated the entire game. Dylan Raiola just looked good as he always does. I am slowly starting to buy into the hype more and more for him. I don't think he's gonna be like truly Patrick Mahomes 2.0 or anything like that, but he looks good. He's a good quarterback. I like the way he reads the game. I like the way he processes. He can move around in the pocket. He's a solid quarterback, and I'm very excited to see how the season progresses for him because he seems to be getting better game by game. So I'm really, really excited to see how he plays next week too. But I bring all this up because I really want to talk about Deion. Because, I mean, at Jacksonville State, he was actually like a good coach. Like, he was prioritizing building up his trenches and then going from there and just like establishing an actual culture at a school that was worthy of playing for and building around. And here, my theory here is that with Shedeur and Shiloh, he knew that without him going to a Power 5 school, they either Shedeur probably would have still gone Power 5. Shedeur is good enough to play in a Power 5 school. Shiloh, I haven't seen enough from him to where I think that he would actually be playing D1 football, maybe, honestly, if his dad weren't the one that got him there. And I honestly feel like that was part of his whole plan was he was like, well, I want to help my kids play football past high school and past college, so I'm going to put them in a position to succeed on my new football team, or at least try to. But he hasn't even done that because poor Shiloh is getting cooked every other play and can't move whatsoever and is just does not have the football IQ that his dad did. So he looks terrible out there. And I think that's another thing is he expects his sons to be as athletic or be as knowledgeable about the game as he is. You're Deion Sanders, man. No one's going to have that. And poor Shedeur is running around for his life back there with no O-line to block for him. And he's not nearly as mobile as his dad ever was. He never got that full gift of the athleticism that his dad did and is moving around all fluid out there. He's mobile, but not enough to where he can survive scrambling like that, and he looks terrible. I'm sure he would look a lot better if he had an actual O-line blocking for him. And it sucks to see, because, I mean, they're basically just this flash-in-the-pan commodity of a team that's like, Deion might leave halfway through the season at this point. And that's not true, but honestly, there's no way he can love this attention that he's getting and what he's doing, not only for his reputation, but for his son's reputation. Because, in turn, by him turning this program, I can't even say turning this program into a joke because it's Colorado football. It's not like they were any respected team before this. But the whole reason he was brought in was to make them a respected team. And now he's got them running around like a bunch of peewee football players. And it's like, you're not helping anyone whatsoever. You're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting your image. And you're only hurting your son's image. Do you think any NFL team is going to want to give Shedeur or Shiloh a look if they keep playing like this? Now, some people in front offices will be smart enough to realize that it's not all on Shedeur. But, again, he's just not a good enough talent for that to be, like, enough of an excuse. Like, it's not like, oh, my God, just, as soon as he gets to no line, like, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. No. He'll be top 15-ish, but top 10. But, I mean, there's a decent handful of guys that I would rather have over him right now. And it's just, I don't know. It's really disappointing because I was really excited for him coming to Colorado, and I was a big fan of his coaching at Jacksonville State, and I thought he was going to do a lot to help his program. Turns out he's just more focused on getting his sons to actually play a little bit football a little bit longer than high school and maybe college. Because Shadur will get drafted. And he's not going first round, I don't think. He'll be a second, third round guy at best. And is that success to you, Dion? Getting one of your sons into the NFL and then probably getting fired immediately after because you turned Colorado football from a joke into a national laughingstock? No, I can't imagine that's what he wants at all. So I'm just sad to see Dion kind of completely tank his reputation like this because I had a lot of hope for them. Not even like that they would be good, just that he would actually be focused on turning this program into something respectable and something worth watching. They are worth watching for the entertainment value of it all, for the fact that it's like, man, what is this whack-ass team going to do this week? And eventually it gets to a point about halfway through the second, you're like, wow, this is just football that's making me sick to my stomach. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know. I'm just disappointed in how they've looked, and not even that I had expectation for them in the first place, but man, you at least got to show me something better than this just absolute joke of a program. Speaking of jokes of programs, let's talk about how bad Michigan is now. So yeah, Michigan football. So when I was looking into doing my matchup previews for Friday, they were one of the games that I like almost brought up, and then I thought about it for like 2 more seconds, and I was like, this team's gonna get stomped out. This Texas team is gonna run circles around them, and boy was I right. I mean, I don't have a ton to say about them outside of like, if anyone was really expecting them to be a top 10 team this year, I think you were lying to yourself. I'm not here to dunk on Michigan or anything, even though I am a Michigan hater by default. They just graduated everybody last year that was a contributor, and they've got a few guys here and there that are gonna go league at the end of the year. But I mean, when you graduate 20 guys, including your coach, it's just not gonna be a repeat season, and that's okay. There's still Michigan football. They'll build back up. They'll be fine. I just thought it was kind of funny that they were even ranked 10 to begin with. Because, again, we're not a bad football program by any means. They still have good players. Donovan Edwards is a damn good running back. But, I mean, gosh, this quarterback, he's not good at all. And I don't think he's going to get any better. It's going to be an ugly season if he keeps starting. Again, they'll be all right in the long run. Eventually, they'll be back. It's Michigan football, but I think that we should definitely tamper our expectations this year. And if the committee wants to keep ranking them that high, go ahead. But it's going to be a bit of a championship hangover year for them. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. And that's exactly why I didn't bring them up for the matchup preview, because this Texas team is just damn good. They're miles better. And it's just the way it goes. Now, I will say, I still don't fully believe in this Texas team. I don't fully believe in Quinn Ewers. I like him. I think that he is a serviceable quarterback. He kind of... I'm trying to think of a good comparison for him here. I want to say he almost gives me like a... It's a shades of like Baker and Stafford in terms of like... He's almost like a point guard style of quarterback, except he's a little bit more calculated, and he's a calculated risk taker is the best way I can put it, I think. And I like those kinds of quarterbacks, but they just can't always win you a big game when you need them to. And Stafford isn't on like the farthest end of that spectrum, like the elite of the elite end of that spectrum. And I think Quinn kind of falls closer to the Baker part. If Baker's like the middle and Stafford is the end of the spectrum, the elite end of the spectrum, is it Sam Darnold? It might be Sam Darnold on the opposite end. And again, that's disrespectful because Sam's actually still a decent quarterback right now. Maybe more Josh Rosen. I think Josh Rosen might be better for that. Yeah, we'll say Josh Rosen is one end and Stafford is the other. And he falls somewhere around the Baker Mayfield range. I don't know which side of that he's on yet. I need more time to figure that out. But I'm just not as high on him as other people, I think. And I think this is why I don't believe in Texas as much. Again, this is also probably coming from a slight place of Texas hatred, horns down forever. But I don't think they're going to be the champions this year. I don't know who's it's going to be. And that's what I think I'm most excited about for this college season is that I could see any of the teams that make the college football playoff winning it this year. There's not like Georgia's still Georgia, but they're just the one seed by default at this point, just because they're Georgia and they got a dominant program. I think they're more than beatable this year. Absolutely. Carson Beck's a good quarterback, but he especially is just a guy who I'm like, that's who we're having you win a national championship with. And obviously they won with Stetson Bennett a few years ago, and we all know that he's working in finance now, or whatever he's doing. Is he still on a team at the moment? I actually do not remember at all. He's probably still signed to an NFL roster, and I definitely should have looked this up beforehand. But we're going to run with the narrative that Stetson Bennett is now working for IBM. But yeah, I think Georgia's a beatable team this year. I don't think they'll win the SEC. I think it's going to be Mizzou. I know I've already said that, but I'm just reminding you guys. So yeah, anyone could win it this year, and I'm very excited to see how it goes. And I just don't think it's going to be Texas, because I don't believe in Quinn Ewers. So that's my Texas spiel. I believe that's everything I had for college football so far. Alright, next up, I just got a small little WNBA talk that I want to get into. Last night, the Liberty played the Aces and won 75-71. It was a good little slugfest. Asia Wilson didn't play at all last night. I think she's dealing with an ankle injury right now. She might maybe miss most of the rest of the season just to play it safe, is from what I've heard. Hopefully not, because she was about to hit the 1,000-point mark, which would be the highest scoring season in WNBA history, and that would be just really, really, really cool to see. I would be sad that my girl Jewel Roy's record was broken from last year, but it's Asia, so I'm not gonna be that mad about it because Asia's awesome and she would deserve it. And it's just cool to see stuff like that. So I'm really hoping that she's able to play these last few games so she can hit that mark. She's somewhere in the 900s right now. I can't remember exactly how close she is, but she only needs 3 more games, I think, 3 or 4 more games out of these last 8. So hopefully she comes back. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy. Becky Hammond already said that it wasn't anything major, that it's just some minor tweakage or something, and they just want to play it safe. Regardless, I hope she's at least able, because I'm sure they're going to want to try to clinch a certain playoff seed. So I have a feeling that she'll be back at some point. I just hope that they don't rush her back and doesn't do anything worse. I don't think she will. I think she'll be fine. But again, I'd just like to see her break the record because that'd be really cool. Anyways, she didn't play last night, and the Aces were in it the whole way. I was a little worried to see how Jackie Young was going to look without Asia next to her, because the Asia-Jackie pairing is maybe the best duo in the league. Your one is definitely, I'm not going to say definitely, your 1A, 1B, however you want to put it, is probably those two, and then Brianna and Sabrina. And then 3 is such a toss-up. Me personally, I would probably go Alyssa Thomas and Dewana Bonner. That's just my preference. Whoever else you see fit, that's your prerogative. But I'm gonna go with Dewana and Alyssa as number 3. Anyways, I was worried to see how Jackie would look, and she looked great regardless. She's just an absolute hooper. She's shooting up my list of favorite players in the league, and she can just really do anything you need her to on the court. She's just going to play winning basketball, which is why the Aces are so good and why they won a championship last year, because it's pretty much every player on the roster, they just know how to play winning basketball. And she can just make the right plays at the right time, and I like her a lot. And she kept them in that game for a good amount yesterday. But Liberty still pulled it out. Sabrina looked a little shaky in the first half, but ended up pulling it out, scoring our last 7 of our 10 points. She had this beautiful little scoop fake pass to close it out. It was beautiful. I just love watching her hoop, man. I mean, she's far and away my favorite player in the league, hands down. That is, I mean, Liberty and non-Liberty. It's Sabrina. Always has been. Since she was at Oregon, she's been one of my favorite hoopers to watch. And she's going to make all W first team. That was the one thing I forgot to do the other week was all W teams. But just know that my first team is Asia, Brianna, Alyssa, Sabrina, and Jackie. I mean, if Sabrina doesn't make first team, I will be genuinely shocked. She absolutely deserves it. She's been getting a lot of MVP buzz too, as she also deserves. And I think that whenever Stewie leaves, that she will most definitely win an MVP someday in her career. But yeah, that's my little Liberty spiel. They looked good yesterday. It was definitely a conference finals preview. Well, there is still a chance that the Aces could end up taking 2 through 3 or 2 through 4, so could end up being a finals preview again. But I'm more inclined to believe that it's going to happen in the conference finals. I'm kind of hoping it does. Like I mentioned last week, I think it would be better for the teams to face each other in the conference finals. I just think it would be a cooler matchup at that point, because then we would get, the Sun or the Wings against them in the actual finals. So that's just my 2 cents. But yeah, and then Caitlin Clark officially set the record for most career 25 and 10 assist games in the WNBA, not even just for rookie, but in the WNBA. And at this point, I mean, I love Angel Reese, like I've mentioned, but Caitlin's far and away the rookie of the year. She's running away with it. I mean, when you're a rookie guard in this league, doing the things she's doing, averaging almost 20 points, 5 rebounds, and I believe 8 assists, 7, 8 assists. I mean, yeah, she's got to cut down on her turnovers, but she's a ball-dominant point guard. I mean, she's going to have a handful of turnovers per game, and that's just something you got to kind of live with. Most superstars do have a handful, have a high turnover rate, just because they have the ball in their hands so much. So it's really not anything that I'm going to concern myself with that much. And she's a smart enough player to where she'll be able to cut that down to a much better number anyways, because I believe she's over 5 right now. But the more she progresses, she's such a smart player that she'll be fine. She'll figure it out. I'm not concerned whatsoever. She's just too good to not be just an absolute stud in terms of assist to turnover ratio. And even if she isn't perfect, like I said, she's a superstar. She has the ball in her hands a lot. She's going to be the best player on her team for years to come. It's not the end of the world. But she just looks so damn good. I'm just going to bring it up one more time. We can appreciate all of these rookies' greatnesses and skills without putting the other ones down. You can appreciate the fact that Caitlin has been the best rookie in the league this year, and still talk about the fact that Angel has been damn good as well, and she's been a hustle rebounder. She has been a big reason that her team is going to make the playoffs this year, probably. And yeah, the Fever might have a better record right now. Again, it doesn't take away from anything Angel has done. It doesn't take away from anything Caitlin has done. We need to be normal about these conversations. And this is the last time I'm going to say it, hopefully. I just want to bring it back up again because it's true. Just appreciate the greatness we're watching right now, because who knows when we get into the rookie class like this, who's just absolutely dominant right out of the gate. So let's just appreciate good basketball, please. Okay? Okay. All right. Now let's get into the main segment of today. I'm very excited for this because the WNBA NBA season is slowly but surely approaching and coming upon us. I want to get into my top 25 players in the league. Now, this list is based on like half production from last year, half how I expect people to produce this year. So first and foremost, I believe we're going to go 1 to 25. Best player in the league this year, undisputable, is Nikola Jokic. He does everything you need him to. His interior defense has finally gotten to a point where he's a liability to where he's not locking anybody down, but he's a big enough body and he's mobile enough for his size to where he can stick with most bigs and not get completely cooked and play serviceable to good defense. And he's a steal machine. He'll get those little just like bump steals and just little pokes like right in the like as soon as you enter the post. And if he can stay doing that, they'll be perfectly fine. They're not gonna have to worry about interior defense. They do need a backup center for him desperately. I think it would help a lot if they got a guy who actually could like rim protect. I think that would go leaps and bounds for them, especially with this team who's kind of fumbling right now in terms of their depth and re-signing guys. And they just signed Jamal to a $209 million deal over the next 4 years, which is an overpay for sure, but it's one of those overpays that like you kind of have to do because he's a perfect fit next to Jokic. And I'm kind of just rambling about the Nuggets right now and not Jokic himself. That's kind of my fault. I just like Jokic and I like the Nuggets. So anyways, my tangent here to say is that they still have a good team around him and he's the best player in the world. So if anyone can win a championship with this team around him, it's him. Because, I mean, his feel for the game, I'm not going to go into big of a spiel. You all know. He's just, I mean, phenomenal. It's kind of insane, and obviously 2K ratings don't matter whatsoever or any indicative of, like, how good a player actually is. But it's really funny that he's, like, not a 99 for pass vision and accuracy. Not accurate, pass vision and IQ. Because, like, who else but him and maybe Luka would deserve it, you know? I can see Halliburton probably getting it too. Maybe Steph. But Steph's not... I mean, he has the vision, but he's not really a distributor the same way these guys are. So I'm kind of not including him. But like I said, like he's like... The way he sees the game, he can literally... He doesn't even need to see an action being run for him to throw the pass and make it and absolutely dime a person up. I mean, you can do things like that at 7 feet tall, and you're also one of the best rebounders in the league, and you can score from all three levels. I mean, it's him. It's Jokic. He is the best player in the league. Number 2, this might get a little controversial, but it is my rankings going into this year. So we'll go on with Luka Doncic. His defense has been steadily improving, and that's been the one knock that everyone's been having on him at this point, is that if they want to win a championship, and if he really wants to be a top 3 to number, even like if he wants to win an MVP, if he wants to be considered the number 1 player in the league, he has to improve his defense, which is the exact conversation we kept having about Jokic and why Giannis was number 1 for so long. Because we're like, hey man, your defense is a liability right now, and how can we consider you the best player in the league if you're getting cooked by Jakob Poeltl? It's the same thing with Luka. If you're letting all these guys get crazy catch and shoots off on you and cooking you off the bounce, then how can we consider you one of the best players in the league? The best. Last year in the playoffs, he really locked in. He's got the size for it. He's a strong dude. He just needs to commit himself, and he has been. And if he can continue to do that this year, I mean, he's already shown that he's up there with Jokic as one of, if not the best passers in the league. And he's the best scorer right now. You can make an argument for Embiid, probably. I think if you had to pick 2 of them right now, like out of these top 5 that I have, it's probably either him or Embiid just because of his size and sheer ability to do anything, including like score off the dribble, off the bounce, get to the basket. He can step out. He's got probably I know Jokic has range, but he's got more of just that like, fuck it, the hoop's down there somewhere, shot clock violation, near shot clock violation, shot chucking. And not saying that's a bad thing, but some of his range just comes from him throwing up shit where you're like, how did you even do that? And it's less of him actually being a skilled scorer. And he is a, don't get me twisted here. He's a very skilled scorer. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, especially like in terms of like volume and stuff too, Embiid's a lot higher in terms of volume on 3-point attempts and stuff like that. He's better off the dribble on 3-point attempts and stuff. Better off the dribble in 3 points and mid-range. And just because he's got that in his game, you probably go him over Jokic in terms of scoring. But Luka is just so, I mean, for a guy that moves like an old man out there sometimes, it really is impressive that he will cook anybody's favorite defender. It really is impressive. And at this point, like I said, as long as his defense keeps steadily improving, he's number 2. Number 3, I have Giannis. Giannis had the most efficient season like ever last year, basically, and no one was talking about it. Like, he got some good MVP buzz towards the end there, but he literally averaged 30. He averaged the most efficient 30-point season of all time, and it was just basically radio silence. He's still a DPOY level defender. He's still the best help defender in the league. Yeah, sure, he could maybe work on developing his mid-range a little more, but at this point, I don't care, man. Just put your head down and get to the basket. You can do anything else on the floor. I don't need you to be able to shoot 4 threes a game. Hell, even 2 threes a game. It's fine. Like, do what you do best and play to your strengths, and that's all that matters. And because of that, it's number 3. And I really wanted to go Embiid, and this is not me being an Embiid hater whatsoever. This is really more just a durability concern, and I just haven't seen him play a full season in a while. And I hate it. I want to see him play a full season because I love Joel, and I think he's one of the best players in our league. And it's just, out of these 4 guys I've mentioned, he is the least durable of the 3, and your best availability is your availability. So for that reason, I'm putting him at 4, just because I'm not sure he's going to finish the season healthy this year. I don't want to wish anything on him, and I'm going to knock on wood. I hope he does. It's just he hasn't shown me that he can in these last couple of years, and he's getting older. He's about to hit 30. I think he just did turn 30. So at this point, gonna put him at 4. 5, I have Tatum. Any Tatum hate at this point is corny. It makes no sense. I am not as high on him as I kind of used to be. Like, I thought that he was going to be like a guaranteed MVP winner one day. I think he still can do that. I just think he's just a team-oriented dude, and he tries to get his shots off, but clearly he's way more focused about team success, and there's nothing wrong with that because it led him to a championship this year, and his shot will find itself again. I don't know what's been happening. A lot of it is he needs to chill on those step-back threes. I think everybody knows this at this point. Like, if he cut like 5 of those a game out of his shooting, I mean, he would look so much better. It's a ridiculous volume that he's taking him at, and that's what people are game planning for. Like, that's what defenders are expecting from him. And if you're giving the defender what they're expecting, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're not going to get the looks you're wanting. And whenever he fixes that, he'll be fine. And I'm not worried about him whatsoever. He's still an elite defender, still an elite playmaker, still an elite rebounder for his size. He can do it all on the basketball court. He just needs to get out of this shooting slump that he's been in, and I'm very, very positive that he will. Throwing Tatum at 5. 6, we got Shea. I didn't like putting him this low just because I think this might be his MVP year. I keep saying that pretty much every year I come into a basketball season and I do my award predictions. I normally say, at least for like the last 2 to 3 years, I've been saying Luka. Just because he's so due, you know, like, I love him so much. I have him ranked number 2 right now. I think at some point, he's going to have to win one. But I think with all the improvements that the Thunder made this year, and they're just going to keep getting gradually better as they get older since they're so young as well, Bringing in a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein, who's a big lob threat for him to pass to, a guy who can play next to him in the backcourt like Alex Caruso, who can lock stuff down alongside him. That's going to be the Thunder are going to be a really good. I think my hot take. It's not really a hot take per se, but I think they're going to be the best defense in the league this year. They just have too many talented defenders on that roster, like top to bottom. I mean, seriously, I'm just going off the top of my head. So there's starting point guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an all-defensive guy. Alex Caruso, all-defensive guy. Lou Dort, all-defensive guy. Jalen Williams is a very sound defender, and he plays his ass off on defense. Chet, probably going to be an all-defensive guy one day. Isaiah Hartenstein, considered an all-defensive talks last year. Cason Wallace, probably going to be an all-defensive guy one day, because he's one of those rookies that came in, and you just saw he had defensive instincts. Isaiah Joe, he can defend. He's not like a clamp guy or anything, but he can stay in front of people. Aaron Wiggins, just an all-around solid defender. They got literally top to bottom people who can just play ball on the defensive side of the court. So I think they're going to be number one defense in the league. And in turn, because of that and the way Shai plays this year, I bet he averages 33. I think Shai will win the MVP. Or this could be his MVP year. Because this Thunder team, I'm scared. I really hope all these 2K simulations I do where they get like all of the number one picks over the next 5 years and just build a God squad isn't true. Obviously it's not because it's 2K. But you know what I mean? They're a really good young team who it's like, well, who's really stopping them once they hit their full potential? I guess we'll see, but I'm high on the Thunder this year. I think they're going to be really good. I think Shai's going to have a good season. Putting him this low at 6 kind of hurt, but I feel like the top 5 are just really undisputable. So I'm keeping him at 6 for now, but he could very easily, I'll probably end up updating this like every once in a while, maybe like once a month. Probably at the end of every NBA month, I'll do an updating to this list, and I can see him flying very high up on this. 7, we got Steph still. That geezer is still pretty much, I mean, if you want to say he's the best point guard in the league over Luka, I wouldn't be mad. I would see where you were coming from, and it's not an atrocious take. He's just Steph. You saw it in the Olympics. He still has that gravity. He still has that ability to just run all over the court and shoot from anywhere. I really wish the Warriors weren't falling in the pieces and that they could put a team around them to win anything. Because I don't think they're going to be... they'll still be like a 44-45 win team this year. But I just don't know if I see them going any farther than the play-in weekend. And for Steph's sake, I really hope they either can or he leaves. But he seems like a guy who's going to be a Warrior for life. So I really highly doubt it. So I'm praying they can put a competent team around them for these last 2 years. And we can see him at least not go out another championship. I don't think that'll happen. But it's just another strong playoff run where just like, damn, remember when he was on top of the league? So yeah, we're going Steph at 7. 8, we got the other geezer, one of the other geezers, KD. He had maybe his most efficient season from mid-range last year, which is just insane to like think about and process. Like, I don't know how he's getting better with his mid-range with age, but he is somehow. And it's just damn impressive that he is as efficient as he is at this age. I know I basically literally just said it, but I have to repeat it because he's 36 right now, 35, 36, and he's a better shooter than most people in the league. And I love watching him play. I'm so glad he finally accepted the Slim Reaper nickname because he literally is the Slim Reaper. He's just so smooth still to this day, and he's aging like fine wine, and I'm very glad that he is. Number 9, we got AD. This was hard. I was flip-flopping between him and LeBron. But right now, at this point, I think AD is just so dominant defensively. You see it every game that he's still like one of the best defensive players that we have in this game right now. it's really interchangeable between him and Giannis, I think, sometimes. The top three, you probably go him, Giannis, Wemby for being real here. Because he's just, I mean, his presence in the paint, he has that same ability that Wemby does. The hell nah meter. I don't know if anybody's seen that on Twitter, but the amount of time someone will go into the paint to try to drive in on them and then immediately kick out or run around in circles and be like, oh no, the AD is there. Oh no, Wemby is there. I'm not going up now. He just still has that ability to scare any defender away, and he's still great on the perimeter. He's just a versatile player. I wish he would be more aggressive on offense sometimes. But with how old LeBron is getting, he really no longer has much of a choice. So I'm really hoping LeBron keeps drilling it into his head that, like, this is your team. This is not my team anymore. This is your team. Take it over. And yeah, that's why I have AD at 9 and LeBron at 10, because I think LeBron is really going to enforce this year that, yeah, man, I'm 40 years old. I can't be the one trying to carry this team to the playoffs. But the thing is, he's still LeBron. He's still an athletic freak of nature. He's still probably going to average 24, 8, and 7. So, like, you know, I don't really have much to say. It's LeBron. He's 10. I mean, he's not as great as he once was. Honestly, you could, if you wanted to put him any higher than this, I wouldn't even be mad or surprised. It's LeBron. He's still just an absolute force to this day. It doesn't seem, he's almost like in that Tom Brady range of like, is he ever going to slow down? Is he ever going to fall off? Eventually, but I don't know if he'll still be playing by that point. He'll probably be retired by the time his body actually starts breaking down on him. Now, 11 through 15 was hard. It was really, 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 really hard. I went with D-Mitch at 11 just because I think he's got the best defensive potential of the three that I have in this 11 through 13 range. When he's actually locked in, he is a great defender. We saw it at Louisville. He came in as a defensive specialist. And I wish he would have focused on that more, because it would have helped those Utah teams a lot more if he were more dialed in on that side of the ball. But alas, he's just so good on all three levels, and his ability to attack the basket just makes him so dangerous. Wherever he goes, this Cavs team follows. And I think if he can have a season like this where he truly is like a very borderline top 10 guy, the Cavs are going to be real dangerous, especially if Garland can kind of figure himself back out. And I think he will. I think a lot of the injuries last year did not help. And I'm not saying he's going to be like an all-NBA talent or anything. I think he has potential to still do that. I'm not saying he will be anywhere there in the stratosphere this year. But he's just got a good team around him. It's really a perfect fit for him. And if you get jumps from Mobley as well, Craig Porter, then they're going to be a very solid team to watch out for in the playoffs. They'll still get dominated by my Knicks because there are Suns. But anyways, 12 I had D-Book. It's really interchangeable between these two, who you think the best shooting guard in the league is. Well, it also all depends on if you consider Shea a point guard or a shooting guard. I'm considering him a point guard this year in this list. So I'm saying that D-Mitch is the first shooting guard that we have up here. It's your prerogative. It's whoever you think is better. I gave the nod to D-Mitch again because I said I think he has better defensive potential. Book is still a great defender. And I'm very happy that the Olympics kind of gave him that reputation bump that he had been missing for a while. I don't know where all this Book hate had come from. Everybody loved Book for the longest time. I think it was just that Suns finals run where the Suns and 4 guy just kind of became the default grr, fuck the Suns for whatever reason. I really can't explain it, but he used to be universally beloved. And then these last few years, I can't say it's been it's been some legit hating, but a lot of it's just been people just being not as high on him as they used to be, I guess. But this Olympics run, he showed that he's willing to buy in and be a dirty work guy, which is, an archetype that everybody loves. And seeing him do that was just really cool, and I'm really glad that everyone else was able to see that and be like, oh my God, Devin Booker. Because, oh my God, Devin Booker. He's awesome. He's a really good player. He's always going to be a perennial top 12 to 10 guy. I don't have too much else to say. He's just a damn good basketball player, and I'm glad he's kind of regaining the respect that he lost. 13, I got Jalen Brunson. He's the best point guard in the East. There's really no debate about that. Howie has an argument, a slight argument, I would say, but just off of last season, he was the best point guard in the East, far and away. This Knicks team, like D-Mitch, goes where, or follows him where he goes, and I really, 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 really like our chances of making a deep run this year on not only his back, but the back of the Nova boys. But he's just a hooper's hooper. Watching him play is mesmerizing because, I mean, I've heard from multiple people who have met him in person who say, like, who are around my height, like 5'9"-ish, or like, he was about eye level with me, which is just insane to think about. A guy, he's probably, I'm not saying he's lying about his height. He probably is like around 6 foot, but I mean, a guy that small should not be dominating the way he is or have the footwork that he does. And it's just so beautiful to watch. I mean, his game is just so smooth and so pretty. And I'm going to start fanboying even harder if I keep talking about him. It's indisputable. Best point guard in the East. I love him to death. He's awesome. He's number 13. 14, I have Wemby. I wanted to put him higher, but I'm going to be slightly realistic with my expectations and just say that he's going to be a top 15 player. But there's a very real chance that I'm super wrong and he jumps all the way up past like KD or Steph this year, just depending on how well the Spurs look and how well they play. Having a guy like Chris Paul as his point guard, oh my God, like, I'm freaking out right now just thinking about it. Because I know, obviously, like, Chris is so much not the point guard that he was, and that age has caught up to him a lot. But he's still one of the best in just terms of being a distributor, he's one of the best in the league still. And he's going to be a perfect guy to put next to Wemby. And gosh, that offense is going to look scary. As long as Sohan's shooting comes around, which I believe it will, yeah, it's going to be that Spurs team is going to be nice this year. I'm very excited to watch them. 15, this is where I have Ant. This is another guy I was like, man, really only 15? I have him that low? But I do think the playoffs gave him a little bit of, I don't want to say unnecessary hype because Ant's one of my favorite players in the league. I love Ant. But I just think that we can be prisoners of the moment sometimes here. And I think that 15 is a perfectly acceptable spot for him. I think he's got some more stuff to work on the defensive side of the ball. He made a lot of improvements this year, and he was locking stuff down. But then Luka and Kyrie and Tim Hardaway Jr. made him look like campaign defensively, and that's not good. So he's still got some things to work on, especially passing-wise. His playmaking is good. I think he's an above-average playmaker for a shooting guard, but he just needs to learn when he needs to playmake and when he needs to take over. And he's more focused on the takeover part, which is good, just as he should be as a shooting guard. But if he can develop that feel for passing more and just being able to find his guys, he's got the talent around him to get there. He's just got a few more tweaks he needs to work on, and he's got a good chance. He's another one of those guys who's got a good chance to jump up pretty high this year. 16, I got Kawhi. I'm really hoping he has a healthy year this year. He had a really healthy one last year, so that was really good to see. I love Kawhi. He's always going to be one of my favorite players in the league. I have no expectations for the Clippers whatsoever this year. I really hope, and I know like they're opening up the Intuit Dome and they want to have stars in the building when that happens. But this team isn't going to get them anywhere, and they already have like zero draft capital up into 2030. So for their sakes, I just really, really, really hope at some point, it doesn't have to be this year, but within the next couple that they, because Kawhi doesn't deserve to be on a team like this in the twilight of his career. So I don't have too much to say about Kawhi. He's still locked down. He can still get to any spot on the court that he wants to and get a bucket. He's still an insanely clutch player. He can take over a game in the fourth quarter when he needs to. It's Kawhi. It's the Claw. What are you going to do about him? Not much. 17, I have Paolo, and this is another guy I'm going to think would be a huge riser, and maybe even potentially be like a top 5 MVP guy. His playmaking is off the charts for a guy his size, and he literally moves like a mix of LeBron and Melo. And just watching him play and watching him get to his spots is just so much fun to watch, because he really is his little jab step, spin, boop, fade. Oh my God! I mean, come on! How can you not watch that and just be enamored, especially after his playoff performance against the Cavs in last season's postseason? He is just, I am so high on him. And I know people keep talking about his efficiency. He's barely 21 years old. Like, he will be fine. He is going to be perfectly fine, and he is going to be a very, very, very good player in our league for years to come. So I am not worried about Paolo's efficiency whatsoever. I think it's going to continue to climb. His three-point shot is going to continue to get better and better and better. He's just got such a good feel for the game, man. He just knows where his teammates are and how to draw out a defense. And oh my gosh, he's slowly becoming one of my favorite players in the league, and I love watching him. So I got him at 17, and he could rise. 18, I got Hallie. And I'm not going to say this about every guy, but, these rankings will change, and if you are disrespected by the fact that I have Hallie so low, I'm sorry. A lot of it just has to do with how he looked post-injury last year, and he just wasn't really able to get back to full form before it. And also, he's a liability on defense. And he's got the tools to not be. So I just, almost out of disappointment, I put him this low, because he can be so much better than he already is. And he already is phenomenal, and he led his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. But I don't think they're repeating that success this year, too. He's just got stuff to work on, to where the defense stuff is such a big hit for me. If he were at least serviceable like Jalen Brunson is, Jalen's a little fire hydrant out there on defense. He's not he'll get cooked sometimes, but you're most likely not having him targeted, or at least he's getting hit in the way on a guy who's not gonna cook him. You know what I mean? And if he is put on a guy who is more likely to get past him, he's gonna do his best to stay in front of him. He's gonna put max effort in, and he's gonna get a stop every now and then. It's not gonna be pretty, but he can do it. So for that reason is why I have Hallie 18. 19, I got PG, just another guy who I'm worried about with injuries, and I just think he's gonna have a bit of a fall off this year, especially because he had a really, really, really rough patch in January, February of last year, to where I'm a little worried that that's what his twilight is going to be. Not entirely, but just more of that in his game, where he has more months of just man, Paul George does just not look like Paul George anymore. And I don't even think it's his fault. I just think his body is just to a point where it's only going to get worse. He's 33, I think. He's getting up there, and when you go through all these different leg injuries like he is, and you have such a prominent jump shot, and you are such a prominent rim runner, it just makes me worried for him. And I don't want him to have a bad season. He's still going to be top 20 like I'm implying here, but I just think that it's going to be hard for him to stay fully healthy for the rest of the season and for his career. Again, another one where I don't want it to happen. I'm knocking on wood, but it's just how I see it playing out. So I have Paul at 19. 20, I got Sabonis. I don't have too much to say. I really like the addition they made. I think him having DeRozan next to him as another closer is going to be really, really important. just because he's just not enough of a scorer to where they need another guy that can take a bit of pressure off of him. And his assist numbers are only going to get better in an offense like that, I think. So, and he's also, I mean, I would probably say the best rebounder in the league. You can take your pick of, I mean, Jokic. I want to say, yeah, I'll go Mitch Robinson. It's probably him, Mitch Robinson, Jokic, and Duran. If I had to pick 4 off the top of my head. And Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond's still up there. Let me not disrespect the rebounding GOAT. He's a walking double-double. So, I mean, number 20, another one of those guys where his season is very important to the Kings' success. And if he can improve upon last season, because he should have been an all-star last season, if he can have another season like that and then some, they're going to look damn good, and they're going to actually be a playoff team again rather than a play-in team. And I'll just kind of breeze through these last 25, because I was originally only going to do 20, but there are just so many guys who I felt bad not mentioning that I wanted to bring them in here. 21, I have Kyrie, perfect sidekick next to Luka. He can just turn it on whenever he needs to. He's got the best handles in the league. He's a great playmaker. It's Kyrie. What do you want me to say? 22, I got Zion. Zion is Zion. I really love the point Zion experiments from last year. He looked really good, but I'm glad they have an actual point guard with DeJounte there now. I think that's going to be a perfect fit next to him, and he's going to catch so many lobs. It's going to be awesome. And as long as he just keeps maintaining this weight that he's at and continues to get into better shape, he's going to be fine. He's going to end up shooting up pretty high on this list, I feel like, this year. This is me just kind of playing it safe. But I'm still high on Zion. I still think he's going to be one of the better players in our league by the end of his career. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy, both weight-wise and actual injury-wise. And he'll be all right. 23, I got Jimmy. I didn't like putting Jimmy this high, but also it would be disrespect if I didn't. And it's really just because he takes the regular season so nonchalantly to where it's like, yeah, he's going to be a guy who's going to average 21, 6, and 5, but he's just not going to be consistent from night to night. So I think that's probably why I wanted to put him lower. But it's still Jimmy Butler. He's still one of the most clutch players in our league. You can still put this Heat team on his back if he needs to. So I have him at 23. 24, I got Jaylen Brown. Not much to say about Jaylen. He's a perfect sidekick for Jason Tatum, and honestly, sometimes the number 1 option. He's an above-average defender, great at attacking the rim. I will say I think his shooting percentages could be better for as good of a shooter as he is. So I'm hoping to see that this year. And I really don't care if he can't go left. As long as he can go right dominantly. If they're forcing him left, oh well. He's got Jason Tatum. He can kick it out too. 25, I got Bam. He's such an underrated player in our league for some reason still to this day. I really, really hope he pulls off a DPOY one day. Because he is, without a doubt, a top 5 defender in our league. And he just definitely deserves some more recognition. So I'm going Bam at 25. And then my honorable mentions, I have Ja. I just don't know what that season's going to look like for him and getting back and being comfortable in this new look team. It's not even really new look. I mean, I think having Zach Edey next to him is going to help, and kicking Jaren up to the 4 is going to make them look a lot better. I just don't know how comfortable he's going to look to start off the season. So I have him at 24 and my honorable mentions right now. Along with De'Aaron Fox and Cat, a couple of Kentucky boys, who are both going to have good seasons. Cat's been getting better on the defensive side of the ball. He's actually trying. He's actually attempting to play interior defense instead of just being a cone. De'Aaron, he's one of the most clutch players in the league. That Kings offense, I think, is going to be a top 10 win again with De'Aaron in there. I don't got much to say about De'Aaron. I said De'Aaron. DeMar. I don't have too much else to say about De'Aaron here. He's one of the best point guards in our league. He's so shifty. And I think he's another one of those guys who's just a little bit more underrated than he should be. He's just been consistent throughout his entire career. and I'm excited to see what this Kings team does. But yeah, those are the top 25 players in the NBA going into this season. I will begin updating this at the end of every NBA calendar month, and I'm excited to see how this list changes. All right, let's get into our last couple things for the day. We got matchup previews for the week. First one, we got Yankees versus Royals. Got a 3-game series starting tonight at 6:05. Very excited to see this. I think this is a good little preview of the ALCS. I really, really, really like this Royals team. I'm pretty high on them. I low-key think they might be my pick to win the World Series this year. I don't know for sure, but maybe they might just do it. Just because they have such a phenomenal rotation between Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, Brady Singer, and Michael Wacha. I think the highest ERA of the 4 of those is a 3.33. They've all just been absolutely dominant. And when you have 4 guys like that who are just absolutely on, it's really, really hard to beat that, because even if one of them has an off night, you have 3 other guys who can go out there and give you strong innings the next night. So, I mean, I really, really like this team. Bobby Witt is an absolute stud. It's going to be fun to watch this rotation go up against the 1-2 punch of Soto and Judge, which, by the way, is just so unfair, and I'm still mad that the league even allowed that to happen. It's just 2 of the most powerful bats in baseball, and it's just fun watching them mash together. They really are the reincarnation of the Bash Brothers, and I really do think this is going to be an ALCS preview. I really like this Royals team, like I said. So yeah, Yankees Royals starting tonight. Going to be a good one. Next one, the Thursday night football game. Bills Dolphins. Good old fashioned inter-division rivalry game. This is the year that I think the Dolphins finally take the division from the Bills. This Dolphins team is solid. If Devon Achane has the season I'm expecting him to, they are going to go places. Like, they're going to go places. Like I mentioned, he's just a big play waiting to happen. And when you have a guy like that at running back, it just means so much for your football team, because it opens up so much else. So if you have to commit to the run game so hard, because you don't want a guy breaking off a 70-yard touchdown in 3 seconds, because that's how fast he's doing this, then you're, allowing Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to get wide-ass open in the secondary. And as long as Tua can get it there, it's not what you can do. And this Bills team, they looked a lot better than in the second half at least, they looked a lot better than I expected them to in week 1. The Keon Coleman, Josh Allen connection is really good already. It's mind-melding, honestly. They've got some great chemistry. I'm very excited to see how that chemistry continues to develop in the season that Keon had. Because I liked Keon. I was pretty higher on him than most people were going into the draft. And I thought it was a perfect pickup, the perfect style of receiver for Josh Allen to have next to him. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think the Dolphins will probably pull it out. I think it's going to be a very close one, though. It's going to be interesting to see how the AFC shapes out, or the AFC East shapes out, because it's going to be a dogfight, that's for sure. So I'm very excited for this Thursday night game. I think this is going to be the first step in the Dolphins punching the Bills in the mouth and taking the division from them. Then my last one I got is Link's Dream. Like I mentioned, the Dream and the Sky are going back and forth for that last playoff spot. This is a very important game for the Dream to win if they want to do that. Nafisa Collier, like I said, has just been absolutely phenomenal this entire year. She's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year while also averaging 20.6 points a game. She is just so dominant, and the Dream are going to have their hands full trying to stop him. The key here is I think Tina Charles is going to need to have a massive game and slow down Nafisa if they want to have a chance to win. Because this Lynx team, man, they're just solid all the way around, and this is the team they need to beat. This is the game that they need to win if they want to actually solidify a playoff spot. And it's all going to come down to Tina Charles slowing down Nafisa in some way. That game is tomorrow night at 6:15 or 6:30. I mean, so those are my matchup previews. Those are my big 3 that I'm looking forward to this week. And then last but not least, we will get into some more pop culture stuff for our segment here. And I'm gonna go with movies that I am excited to see coming up here. First and foremost, we got Transformers One, which comes out next week, I believe. Yeah, it comes out next week. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big old Transformers nerd. I grew up reading like the OG comics from like the 60s and 70s and 80s that my parents read because my dad had a box in the basement from when he was a kid, and then he gave them to me, and I was obsessed with them. Optimus Prime is my goat. Bumblebee is my favorite, like one of my favorite fictional characters ever. Um, so I'm a big Transformers fan, and I haven't watched like any of the last 2 to 3 Transformers movies that have come out because this franchise has gone so downhill that I just don't even want to disappoint myself. So I'm excited because this actually looks like it's gonna be like a fun, cool movie. They got Brian Tyree Henry playing Megatron, who I freaking love. He was so awesome in Bullet Train. I didn't see Eternals, but I heard a lot of people liked him in that. He's a great Jefferson Davis in the Spider Verse movies. I just think he's a great actor, and I'm he does great voice work. I'm really excited to see how he does as Megatron. Um, and I was not expecting it to be like a whole little origin story thing, but I'm very excited to see that. And animation is just one of my favorite genres. It's just you can do so much with it and tell so many cool stories with it that I just don't think it gets enough love, and it's just treated too much as a kids genre. Because my one of my favorite movies of all time, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, is one of the most beautifully well done movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I would frame like every single shot from that movie in my room if I could. I would take a screenshot, I'd print it out, and I would frame. All right, my phone just died on me in the middle of that little spiel at like 5%, so I know the angle changed a little bit just because now I have to keep my phone plugged in while I record this. Anywho, like I was saying, yeah, I would print out every single frame, every single scene of that movie and frame it and put it in my room because it's beautiful. And I just think the animation medium is just so disrespected in movie culture and award culture. Like, it just makes me sad because you can tell some of the most beautiful stories with it. And I'm just very excited to see how this world looks in animation. So yeah, that's my first one. My next one, I'm excited for. Excited, yes, but more just intrigued for the new Joker movie. It comes out October 4th, day after my birthday. I just am interested to see how they play with the musical aspects of it, and I'm very excited to see Lady Gaga as Harley. She's a great actress, and I'm interested to see how she plays the role. She seems like she's got it. From what I've seen from the trailers, it looks like she's got the like the concept down, the character. And I'm a little nervous, just because I think the musical angle could not ruin it, but maybe be a little overcooked. I think is the best way to put it. So I'm just hoping I don't put like too much of an emphasis on it. And Joaquin Phoenix is phenomenal. He's gonna be good in it. I'm excited to see like what turn they take it, like where after the end of the last one, what direction they're going. Yeah, that's another one I'm looking forward to. And the last one is Megalopolis. You got Adam Driver and Giancarlo Esposito in the same movie. Are you kidding me? I don't even know much about what the whole plot of this is supposed to be, outside of the fact that it's supposed to be a sci-fi movie. But just those two together excites me. I believe that one's coming out like late October. I think October 22nd. I think I might be wrong on that, but it's coming up fairly soon. That's another one I'm looking forward to. There's a lot of good movies coming out towards the end of the year here, and I'll probably do a little update and recap once I go and watch them. But yeah, just a good year for film so far. Dune 2 was incredible. I know I just brought it up out of literally nowhere, but I don't think I've stopped thinking about it since I went and saw it. It blew me away. Denis is just so... He's a master. He's a master at work, and I just admire him so much. And God, that movie just blew me away. I just want to shout it out, just to shout it out. But yeah, I think that's all I got for my pop culture stuff today. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, y'all. I will catch you guys on Friday. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Shoot me an email. I want to start reading them on the show here soon. I'll probably like save like the last half of the show for that. Or maybe we'll start with it. Who knows? We'll go from wherever we go from, whatever the vibes are, we'll figure it out. But yeah, start shooting me emails, start shooting me your takes. I want to start, making this more involved, a more active community. But yeah, keep it up, y'all. Keep tuning in. I appreciate all the support. Like I said, it means the world to me. And watch all the games this week. And you know what we say around here? We always say active on the glass, y'all. Have a good one.